In this video, I'm going to share what I'm doing to transition from working in a state of anxiety and insecurity and feeling like I never got enough done to a place where I can be present and creative and get a lot more joy out of my work on a day-to-day basis. My name is Brian Elwood. I'm a real estate investor turned author and online coach, and I help entrepreneurs earn more money while removing a lot of stress and anxiety from their work days. So I've always had this really strong drive to work hard and succeed. That led me to becoming financially free by the time I was 30 years old. I always thought I had an advantage over my peers because I just wanted to wake up and work hard and achieve my goals, and I had this sort of drive that not many other people seem to have. But the whole time I've been driven and succeeding, I've had this question in the back of my mind that I never really wanted to reveal to anybody, and that is this healthy? Because even though on the surface level it looked like I was achieving a lot, my day-to-day experience was often filled with a lot of anxiety and stress, and honestly just feeling kind of insecure and inferior, and like I wasn't good enough, and like I hadn't achieved everything that I could. And when I didn't achieve what I thought I should be achieving, I would feel down and I'd be in a bad mood. And then on those rare days where I did get every single thing done on my to-do list, I have like a very brief moment of feeling high, and then the very next day I've got that same sort of mental gap where I feel like I'm here and I need to be here, and I'm back to being anxious again. I mean, we all know how it feels when you get to the end of the day and your to-do list has a ton of stuff left on it. But I had to stop and ask myself, is my happiness and contentment and joy and inner peace really tied to some damn post-it note that I have on my desk with a to-do list written on it? Are we forever trapped in this cycle of if I do a lot, I feel good, and if I don't, I feel bad? Or is there a deeper psychological mechanism at play behind all of this? So I started to seek answers to these questions, and I came up with some really interesting stuff. If you're familiar with Alex Hormozi, he's a really successful entrepreneur, and he talks about how a lot of his drive actually comes from insecurity. He mentions it quickly and then moves on to telling you the 3 tips to make more money, and I'm just like, wait, are you telling me that you're insecure and you don't feel like you're enough? That's why you're doing all this? It's like, why don't we stop and talk about that? And then I realized the reason I was like judging him about that is because it's true for me too, you know, and has been for the longest time. It's this level of insecurity, or inferiority is almost a better way to describe it, that has driven me to get up and achieve and hit higher and higher goals every single day. And then I read this book called Relentless by Tim Grover, which talks about how the top athletes succeed. This guy worked with Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, and Dwayne Wade. And in the book, he talks about how those top performing athletes often have a strong sense of insecurity that actually gets them out of bed. That's why they're in the gym at 6 in the morning shooting hoops. And so I've really been thinking about this question a lot, is like the people who are high achievers, the ones that a lot of us aspire to be like, are they all, including me, just doing this out of a sense of insecurity? And there's another video by Alex Hormozi where he talks about the 3 traits that the highest achievers have. And one of them is an inflated sense of self. And then the second one is inferiority. And the third one is they feel like they deserve to succeed. But that dichotomy right there between having an inflated sense of self and then a feeling of inferiority creates a gap between where you think you should be and between where you are today. And after reflecting on this a lot for my own life and reading a lot of books on spirituality and the ego, I've learned that for me, that same thing is going on. So essentially, I have a self-image of who I think I am and who I think others think I am, and this is of a person who's successful, makes money, achieves great things, and has a great lifestyle. And I've always been holding myself to that image and trying to live up to it, but in actuality, I'm always beneath it. And so it's creating this sort of gap where I feel inferior and I feel like I need to be more than I am. And that is what has driven me to wake up and succeed for most of my entrepreneurial career. And that's the secret that I'm embarrassed to share, but it's the truth, guys. Here's my theory on this whole game around having a self-image. This game sort of thrives on dissatisfaction, and there's no point where you really arrive. I don't think if I ever got to that point where my self-image and my reality were the same, I would all of a sudden sudden be like, I made it, and I'm so relaxed and peaceful and joyful now, and I'm good for the rest of my life. You know, I just don't think it works that way. I've never really heard of it working that way for anybody else either. So I think ultimately this is a losing game, and the question I'm asking is, instead of trying to play this game any longer, how can I stop playing it altogether? And what is the alternative? So another way of saying that is, can we go from a place of waking up and working from a sense of like anxiety, stress, fear, and inferiority and insecurity to this relaxed place of just you're present with your work, you find joy and enthusiasm in what you do, you're not always just feeling like you never got enough done. So what is the solution? Well, through a lot of reading books and self-discovery, what I've noticed for me is that if you were to really hold a magnifying glass up and look at what's going on in those moments when I'm feeling stressed and anxious and overwhelmed and not enough, I am thinking about either where I want to be, like I want to have more money and I want to be further along in my career, I want to be able to afford a nicer house. And then I often think about where I am now and I'm like, I'm not being productive. I didn't get as much done today as I thought I would. It's those thoughts about the future and then those thoughts about how I'm not happy with how things are today that are actually keeping this situation alive. Like they are the fuel for my insecurity, for my dissatisfaction. So for me, I found that my thoughts on a moment-to-moment basis are the true actual origin point of the anxiety and stress that I feel when I'm sitting there working. So here's what I have been doing to lessen that anxiety and that stress and that inferiority and overwhelm that I'm feeling in my workday. Let's say I wake up and I drive to my favorite cozy little coffee shop and I get my iced oat latte, half calf, because I'd be getting cracked out on too much caffeine. And then I find a couch to go sit on and I know that I'm going to flip open my laptop and I'm going to work on something. What I try to do is to be completely present in that moment. I feel the feeling of the couch underneath me and my fingers on the keys of the laptop. I notice my breathing a little bit. Just try to intentionally sink into the moment rather than being worried about the outcome, being worried about the other things on my to-do list, or really just thinking about anything at all. Because if thinking is the true origin point of the anxiety and stress that was causing me to be this insecure person who was just working to achieve more and never really happy with any of it, well, the opposite of thinking is presence. When you are present, it actually implies that you are specifically not thinking. So presence is the antidote to anxiety, stress, and overwhelm, and all those negative emotions that we often feel while working. Now, when I started this process, the thoughts really wanted to pop into my head that said, hey, you need to worry. You've got tons to do today. You can't really afford to just lose yourself in the moment on the damn couch at the coffee shop, Brian. It's like the devil on my shoulder telling me, you can't enjoy your work. You've got to stress and worry. And what I've had to work on is trusting that I can, in fact, be present in my work, that I can sink into the moment, just let everything else go, and that I am responsible enough to do those things that are inevitably going to come up. Like I have to pay my bills, I got to take the trash out. I do have to eventually call that banker back or, schedule that call with my CPA. So far, having that intention of being present in my work days has had no negative effect, and I will keep you updated on how it's going. And if you see me begging for money on the street corner here in a few months, you will know that it didn't work. Please throw me a few bucks. But not only has this not had any negative effect, it's actually had a surprising positive effect. And that is that I feel a lot more creative. It makes sense because I've heard that some of the best scientists have had their greatest breakthroughs when they were like laying in the hammock, just breathing with their eyes closed, not thinking about anything. And there is evidence to suggest that true creativity comes from somewhere beyond us, and we are sort of a conduit for creativity. When we are present, we can allow the creative energies to come into the world through us. The benefits of me trying this so far are, I would say, I'm probably 30 to 40% less anxious, less stressed, not feeling so insecure or like I'm not good enough or overwhelmed by all the stuff that I've got to do. It really does make a difference for me. So if you're up for just giving this a try, not only do you potentially stand to gain a workday with a lot less anxiety, less stress, just being able to achieve from a place of contentment, but you just might find that you can experience some of the creativity that's been deeper within you, but has not really been able to come out because of all the mental noise. And if you could be 2, 3, 4, 5 times more creative, think about what that could potentially do for the success of your business as well. So give that a shot if you're up for it. I will keep you guys updated on how it's going with me. And if you want to learn more about this concept of presence, this is my favorite book probably of all times, called A New Earth by Eckhart Tolle. And in this video, I share 2 stories from this book that helped me find a lot more inner peace. If you want to hear the stories, check out this video. Thank you guys for watching.